If you've seen the film where we were researching what kind of studio lights are available, you may remember I started off in the dining room. Well, now that dining room has become a home studio. Why did we choose this room? It's because it's very small and it's the kind of space which you may have available at home. And also, you can of course move things around. You can get things out of the way, shift the furniture. This room is pretty good because it's a nice white wall. If you have a coloured wall, suppose you've got orange walls, when the light comes out of the flash, which is daylight balanced, it's going to hit that orange and then the light's going to turn orange and whoever you're photographing is going to look like you've been in a fake tan salon. It's not a good idea. Try and use somewhere which has got a nice neutral colour. Grey's good, white's even better. So let's have a little look at what you would get when you bought your kit. The two light modifiers that are most likely to come with your flash outfit will be a softbox like this, or an umbrella like that. You can probably have a choice of having a softbox and umbrella, or two umbrellas or two softboxes. Softbox, it's just a box, it fits on the front of the flash. The small flash tube fires its light out, it rattles around inside here, and then it passes through this translucent material which goes over the front, which shatters the light and all the little rays burst all over the place. If you're not sure about shattering light and spreading it about, go and have a look at our introduction to flash film, because in the second half I show you how this works with a hose pipe. You'll enjoy it. An umbrella is very, very similar to a softbox, except that you can pass light through it as it comes out of the flash. Some light will go through it and some will reflect off it, and you can use it both ways round. When you're putting an umbrella onto your flash head, you're going to have a little thing like this. This is called a spill kill, this little silver thing which goes around the top here. It's called a spill kill. If I just turn that on for a minute, I don't know if you can see in the video camera, there's a sort of shadow going around here. There's a little pool of light. Can you see that, Tony? Yeah, I've got a nod. It's stopping light from spilling out past the umbrella. If I just release that a bit and move it forwards, I don't know if you can see on the ceiling now, there's a shadow cast by the umbrella and a little half moon of light. That's light sneaking past it, and it can completely mess up what you're trying to achieve, because the whole point of a home studio is for you to be in control of the light. So you just move your umbrella in until the circle of light is within the outer edge of the umbrella. There we go, and lock it into place. So the first thing we probably ought to do is to have a look at what the qualities of the light are that comes from the two different things. So I'm going to turn this one off. And what we're going to, oops, that wasn't meant to happen. Hang on a minute, I'm smashing the place up already. So let's have a little look and see what the light looks like from a softbox versus an umbrella. So for that, I've luckily got a Tasha. Tash, can I? Thank you. She was sitting there playing on the internet with an iPhone, weren't you, mate? Our long-suffering Tasha. Grab a seat. Now, I've got a softbox here, so we're going to use that. You can probably see on Tasha's face already what's going on. Flash heads have what's called modelling lights. That's just a tungsten bulb which is on all the time. And as you adjust the output, so the light level goes up and down. And it allows you to see roughly what the light's going to do. You can probably see that down this side, stop laughing, there's a bit of a dark side to Tasha's face here, and there's a bit of a shadow around her nose, whereas this side is much brighter because the light is coming this way. If I just quickly, if you have a look at Tasha, as I change the power of the flash head, you can kind of see, not only is the exposure changing, you can see how you can sort of see what the shadows are doing as you wind the light up and down and change the output. So that's what a modelling light is for, and they're very, very useful because it gives you an indication of what's happening. First off, let's take a picture of Tash with just a softbox so you can have a look at that. You're going to set up your flash, you've got to have a flash meter. There are trial and error ways of doing it, but I'm not going to go there because it's much too long-winded. With your flash meter, and if you're not sure about this, go and look at the very first home studio flash video because we talk about this at length. Set your ISO speed on the flash meter so that it's going to match the ISO speed you have on your camera. Set your flash sync speed so that it's fast enough. I'm using 125th of a second in this instance, but you need to find out what the sync speed of your camera is. Don't point the invacone of the flash directly at the light in this instance. I'm going to take the picture from pretty much where you are. So I'm just going to point the invacone kind of towards the camera, but I'm going to angle it slightly to the light. I'm going to kind of aim it kind of in between the two like that. Eyes closed. There we go, and we have a flash burst. That is giving me f11.9, that's almost f16. I think I'm going to turn it down a little bit. One of the things I have here is my lights are very, very powerful. They're probably a bit too much for a space like this. If you're buying a home studio kit, you'll probably have 200 or 400 watt second lamps. These are 800, so, and here we go, do another, I always close my eyes, f8, f8.5, that's a really good aperture to use. So we now need to, let's dump that on there, make sure we've got that pointing this way. You can't see me, can you? Right, where are you? Oh, you're over there. I'm triggering these flashes with slaves. These are photoelectric cells which can detect a flash burst and then they fire. I'm not plugging them directly into my camera because these lights are quite old. And with an older set of lights, the voltage, do you want to swap round that way? The voltage which comes down the cable can mess up your digital SLR. So I'm going to trigger them by using my little pop-up flash on the top here. You're thinking, well, wouldn't that going to mess up the light? I have set this manually down to a 50th of its output. So it's giving it the tiniest little puff of light. It's not going to have any impact on what these huge studio lights are going to produce. All it's going to do is produce just enough light that this little photoelectric cell can see it, and that will trigger the main flash. So what did we have? We had, I've completely forgotten, where's my light meter? f8.5. So you set your aperture on your camera. Here we go, it's f8, go f8.5, 9.5, that's about right. Kasha basha. Oh, I also didn't talk about the background. We're just using the white wall. We're not messing around putting up backgrounds in here. I'm just going to keep this really, really basic. I know you can see a radiator down there, but by using a longer lens, which has a narrower depth of field, I can isolate that. I'm only going to shoot some head and shoulders for the moment because I just want to show you what the light does. Right, we're ready to rock. Don't giggle at me. Tash, turn towards me just a little bit. So you're a bit, that's it, because I want to be able to see what the light's doing. This isn't necessarily going to be the most flattering of pictures, but it will show what the light's doing. Here we go, put your chin down just a tad. Hey, there we go. There's a little picture. As you can see, it's directional. It's quite a strong directional light that's coming out of the softbox. But really what we need to do is compare it to the umbrellas. You don't need to watch me move these lights around, so I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Right, so we're just lining that up there, make sure it's pointing nicely at Tasha. I've already done the metering, you don't need to watch me do it. So the difference here is going to be that instead of all the light coming in this direction as it would with the softbox, because none could escape from behind it, the light's coming out of the flash tube, it's hitting this translucent white surface of the umbrella. Most of it is reflecting forwards like this onto Tasha, but a significant amount of it is escaping through the umbrella, and that is going to bounce up here onto the ceiling. Some of it's going to hit up there and it's going to rattle around the room a little bit. And that should produce a slightly softer light. So let's try it like this, reflecting out of an umbrella first, and just make sure it's pointing nicely at you. Yes, I think it is. I've already metered it. It's exactly the same exposure. I'm using 9.5 as we did before. Here we go, Tash. Same again. I'll tell you what, turn your shoulders towards the light and your legs, the whole lot, go on, and turn your head towards me so it's still pointing the same way. Turn it a little more. The only reason I'm doing that is so that we know that that's an umbrella shot. Here we go. Chin down a tad. Woo. Cool. So there we go. If we just flick between those two, yeah, it's a softer light, isn't it? The shadows are nothing like as strong coming through the umbrella, sorry, bouncing off the umbrella and rattling around the room as they were with the softbox. Something to bear in mind here, if instead of a doorway there was another white wall, there'd be even more light bouncing back as well. You have to experiment with these things. Anyway, so that's reflecting off the umbrella, but you can also shoot through the umbrella. So that's what I'm going to do next. There we go, right. Light turned round. Now as you can see, instead of bouncing off the umbrella, the light is going to come through the umbrella and like Tasha. You might notice it's a lot brighter in here than it was in the last take. That's simply because I've turned up the modelling light a bit because the video camera was struggling. You can still see the effect of the modelling though. If you look at Tasha's dark side and her nose, then you can still see those shadows. The modelling light is still proportionately representing what the flash will do. Don't get confused with the brightness. Am I confusing you? Probably. Right, I've set the exposure again, so now let's take the picture. This time, most of the light will come through the umbrella, and then the rest of it is going to bounce up here, and it's probably going to rattle off this white wall, and it will kind of rattle around the room. And we should have, again, a fairly soft sort of a look, but I think it will be more directional, probably more in keeping with the softbox. Right, so we got that on. It was F8 that time. Right, there we go. Here we go, Tash. I'll tell you what, turn your knees straight towards me now. So we're going straight on, shoulders straight on, because your head's still pointing the same way. Look at that. Do your chin down a little tilly widdly. Hey, cool. There we go. Yeah, they're very, very subtle differences. The softest one is obviously bouncing out of the umbrella, and the hardest one is bringing it straight out of the softbox. You can download these so you can have a look at them yourself. So that's what the different light looks like. That's what they produce rather. That's kind of the qualities of the light that you'll produce via the two ways of using an umbrella, plus of course the softbox. So let's have a look at how you'd use them together. One of the most popular ways of setting up some light, or you may have heard of flat light. Flat light, if we come and look at Tasha again, flat light means, I don't know why we'd want to look at Tasha, but still, flat light means that these shadows won't be here. It will remove them, it will remove textures. And you must have heard me say this on many other films. When you're young like Tash is, shadows can look pretty good because it gives texture and shape to a face. But if it's an older woman, older women are going to kill you if you make their wrinkles and lines stand out more. And that is what those shadows will do. If you've got a bloke who's a bit older, that's quite cool because the kind of wrinkles and lines, they add character, and blokes don't mind looking a bit craggy. Haha. So what we're going to do is lose the shadows and try and get Tash looking really soft. Again, you don't need to watch me moving the lights around. I'll set them up and tell you what I've done in a minute.